On March 3, 2011, the Jewish Chronicle announced the discovery of dozens of lead books from Jordan.
In a dusty cave in the heart of Jordan, archaeologists have discovered a set of ancient books, each smaller than a human hand, that is way older than the Bible. These mini-books are inscribed with symbols and texts that predate modern writing, and it also contains unprecedented knowledge and secrets that could rewrite history. Could these miniature masterpieces hold the key to understanding our past, or even the future? Or will it shake the very foundation of Christianity? Join us as we explore this mind-bending find, uncovering the mysteries and revelations hidden within these tiny, timeless volumes. These books may potentially be the earliest known Christian writings, having endured for nearly 2,000 years in the confines of a Jordanian cave. It is conceivable that they have the potential to revolutionize our comprehension of the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus, as well as the origins of Christianity. Between 2005 and 2007, a collection of approximately 70 books was initially discovered in a cave located in the village of Saham in Jordan, near the convergence of Israel, Jordan, and Syria's Golan Heights. This cave is situated within a 3-mile radius of the renowned Israeli spa and hot springs of Hamat Gader, which has been a religious destination for countless years. These books were composed of lead rings binding 5 to 15 lead leaves and are slightly smaller than a contemporary credit card. Despite its tiny frame, this book is said to contain unprecedented knowledge that's not known to man. This book has metal rings on all sides, which indicates that they were not meant to be opened. This may be due to the fact that they held sacred words that were not meant to be read. For instance, the ancient Jews zealously guarded the holy name of God, which was spoken only by the high priest in the temple in Jerusalem during Yom Kippur. After a sudden flood washed away the dusty soil from the mountainside, a significant capstone was exposed. Upon removing it, a cave was uncovered, revealing numerous small niches embedded into the walls. Each of these niches contained a booklet, along with various other items such as metal plates and rolled lead scrolls. This particular area where the book was unearthed has gained recognition as an ancient sanctuary for Jewish individuals who sought refuge during the violent aftermath of a series of uprisings against the Roman Empire in the 1st and early 2nd centuries AD. Remarkably, the cave is situated less than 100 miles away from Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were famously discovered. Additionally, it is approximately 60 miles from Masada, the site of a final stand and mass suicide by an extremist zealot sect during a Roman army siege in 72 AD, just 2 years following the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. A Jordanian Bedouin discovered these artifacts, which could potentially be extremely rare relics of early Christianity. The Jordanian government asserts that they were smuggled into Israel by another Bedouin. The Israeli Bedouin who currently possesses the books refutes the claim of smuggling, stating that they have been in his family for a century. Jordan has expressed its determination to repatriate the relics through all available means. However, during the authentication of this book, something intriguing was discovered. Ziad al-Saad, the director of Jordan's Department of Antiquities, suggests that the books may have been created by followers of Jesus shortly after his crucifixion. He argues that they are of greater significance than the Dead Sea Scrolls and could lead to further interpretation and authentication of the material. David Elkington, a scholar of ancient religious archaeology, is leading a British team to safely transfer the lead books to a Jordanian museum. He believes that the images on the covers and pages of the books provide compelling evidence of an early Christian origin. According to Mr. Elkington, the artifacts display symbols that early Christians would have interpreted as references to Jesus, alongside others that they would have considered as representing the presence of God. One of the book covers features a 7-branch menorah in the upper square, which was strictly prohibited for Jews to depict since it was located in the holiest part of the temple, in the presence of God. Philip Davies, emeritus professor of Old Testament studies at Sheffield University, asserts that the most compelling evidence for a Christian origin can be found in the plates embedded in a pictorial map of Jerusalem. When he first encountered this symbol in this tiny book, he was left speechless, as it appeared to him as a Christian symbol. In this captivating text, a striking cross takes center stage, standing tall in the foreground. Behind it lies what is believed to be the tomb of Jesus, a humble structure with an inviting opening. Beyond that, the ancient walls of the city loom, creating an atmosphere of mystery and intrigue. Interestingly, these walls are not exclusive to this page alone. They appear on other pages of these remarkable books, undoubtedly illustrating the grandeur of Jerusalem. Interestingly, the significance of the cross cannot be overstated. Its shape, resembling a capital T, mirrors the crosses used by the Romans for crucifixion. It is widely believed to depict the crucifixion of Jesus on the sacred grounds of Golgotha. Within this book, a fruiting palm tree serves as a symbol for the house of David, while there are also 3 or 4 shapes resembling horizontal lines intersected by short vertical lines from below, known as the T-shaped. Margaret Barker, a renowned authority on New Testament history, sheds light on the location where these extraordinary findings were unearthed. She suggests that it serves as evidence of a Christian origin, rather than solely Jewish. During times of oppression, when Jerusalem was plagued by turmoil, groups of refugees sought solace by fleeing eastward. They crossed the Jordan River near Jericho and eventually arrived at a place very close to where these remarkable books were discovered. This geographical connection adds another layer of intrigue to the story of this book. Furthermore, the nature of these books themselves provides a compelling clue to their Christian provenance. Unlike traditional scrolls, they take the form of books. This aligns with the early Christians' preference for writing in book format, as opposed to scrolls. Moreover, the presence of sealed books within this collection hints at the secret traditions that were cherished by the early Christian community. There is another possible connection to the Bible found in one of the few translated fragments from the book. This fragment features an image of the menorah and the phrase, "I shall walk uprightly," which is also found in the book of Revelation. While it could be a sentiment commonly found in Judaism, it may also be referencing the concept of resurrection. There's something else intriguing found in this book, the image of Jesus. The image depicts a bearded young man with flowing curly hair. The fine details are challenging to discern, but under certain lighting conditions, the marks around the figure's brow could be interpreted as a crown of thorns. If authentic, this could potentially be the first ever portrait of Jesus Christ, possibly created during the time of those who knew him. Both the front and back of the booklet feature a representation of a human head, with one figure sporting a beard and the other without. The maker's fingerprint is visible in the lead impression, and beneath the figures lies a line of text in an ancient Hebrew script, "Savior of Israel." It is not guaranteed that all the artifacts in the collection are from the same time period. However, tests conducted by metallurgists on the heavily corroded lead indicate unraveled a mystery. Metallurgists determined the age of the book by examining traces of corrosion and radiation. If there was no active radiation present, it indicated that the book was not from the modern era because the explosion of the first atom bombs in 1945 released radioactive polonium into the atmosphere, affecting metal fabrication worldwide. According to Proffer and Webb, lead naturally contains a radioactive isotope that decays slowly over time. This radioactive polonium can be reactivated from the air, originating from naturally occurring radon. The difference observed between the outer and inner pages of the codices may be attributed to this process, highlighting the need for careful analysis of the objects. This examination successfully confirmed that the lead is more than a century old. 100 years ago, the information accessible to counterfeiters was considerably less than it is presently, thus making it highly improbable that they are counterfeits. The composition of the codice's metal aligns with that of Roman lead, which is another crucial aspect. Additionally, the condition of the corrosion on the surface of the codices plays a significant role. Contemporary lead is not only exceptionally pure, but also remarkably pliable to the touch. It resembles plasticine when flattened into sheets. On the other hand, the lead used in the codices is highly impure, yet interestingly, it is delicate and can easily fracture in certain cases. Simply put, no one had ever encountered or handled a lead like this before, a common observation among those who have come into contact with it. Under microscopic examination, it displays all the characteristics of great antiquity, with crystalline impurities seeping out of the metal, leaving behind cavities, a process that requires more than 1,800 years to occur. Not only did they confirm the authenticity, but they also discovered combinations of writings. The writings found in this ancient script are a fascinating mix of Hebrew, Greek, and Paleo-Hebrew letters. Most of the script used is Paleo-Hebrew, which was prevalent before 500 BCE. It's intriguing to note that some of the letters have unique forms not found anywhere else, making the deciphering process quite challenging. However, a few words have been successfully decoded so far. Interestingly, this ancient script continued to be used even during the time of Jesus. It adorned coins and appeared in some of the renowned Dead Sea Scrolls, signifying its sacred significance. Contrary to some claims made by individuals who hadn't examined them closely, the letters were not engraved in lead. Instead, the pages were cast in molds, allowing the letters to stand out prominently on the surface. These letters were also adorned with various symbols, adding to their allure. What makes these writings truly extraordinary is that nothing like them has ever been discovered before. Their uniqueness and historical value are unparalleled. Determining their exact age is a challenging task, but initial tests on a few items suggest that their surface remained undisturbed for approximately 1,800 years, if not longer. It's plausible that these writings were created during the time of the first Christians, adding another layer of intrigue to their story. Deciphering this text was a major task because of the combination of the writings, but Margaret Barker was willing to decipher this ancient text. In the process, she and her team discovered unprecedented knowledge in the pages of the book, and this knowledge alters everything we know about Christianity. Margaret Barker mentioned that most of the items were damaged, but in some cases, she and her team found several copies of the same design and were able to reconstruct it by superimposing several examples. By collating 14 damaged examples, it was possible to restore the design they called the Horn of Salvation. The horn was sprouting roots, with Paleo-Hebrew letters to the right and Greek to the left of it. This was shown at the top of the paper. Her colleague Dr. Samuel Zinner was the first to attempt a reconstruction in this way, and he also proposed that this was the Horn of Salvation, mentioned in Psalm 132.17, which says, "In Zion, they would make a horn to sprout for David. They had prepared a lamp for their servant." The sprout was a messianic title utilized by the prophets Jeremiah and Zechariah, and it was also discovered in the Dead Sea Scrolls. The horn itself is a multifaceted symbol. A horn of oil was employed to anoint the ancient kings. Samuel anointed King David. Nathan the prophet and Zadok the priest anointed Solomon as king with the horn of oil. According to later Jewish tradition, the genuine anointing oil was concealed just before the first temple was demolished, and it would be reinstated when the true temple was reconstructed. The horn of oil was a symbol of temple restoration and the arrival of the Messiah. The horn is also referred to as the shofar, which was sounded on significant occasions. When the Lord presented the law on Mount Sinai, when the king was anointed, to alert war and to declare the day of judgment. The shofar also sounded on the major holy days in the temple, at New Year, during tabernacles, and announcing the Jubilee when the dispersed people would return to the temple in Jerusalem. Finally, the horn announces the day of judgment. However, more intriguing details discovered made Margaret and her team shocked. Dr. Zinner drew a connection between the image of a sprouting horn and the ancient Amidah prayer. In 1984, Prophet Yehuda Liebes proposed that a section of the Amidah prayer underwent a change in the late 1st century CE. Originally it read, "Blessed are you, O Lord, who makes the horn of David sprout," but it was altered to, "Blessed are you, O Lord, who makes the horn of salvation sprout." This change allowed for a subtle reference to Jesus, as the Hebrew words for salvation and Jesus are remarkably similar. According to rabbinic tradition, the modification was made by Simeon Hapakoli, also known as Simeon son of Clopas, the second bishop in Jerusalem, whose mother stood at the foot of Jesus' cross. It is evident that both Jews and Christians found significance in this image. The early Christians and the Jews who fought against the Romans to regain their land may have been familiar with and utilized it. Even in our preliminary research, we can see that some of the lead books reflect the years of conflict with Rome, and it appears that Christians were actively involved in this struggle for liberation. This was noticed in the bubble when Anna, an elderly prophetess who witnessed the presentation of the infant Jesus at the temple by Mary and Joseph, recognized that Simeon had identified him. She eagerly shared this revelation with everyone who was present, spreading the message further. Another interesting discovery found in the book is the coin. The book unveils a fascinating coin from the Second War against Rome, minted between 132 and 135 CE. On this coin, the four pillars of the Holy of Holies in the temple are depicted, with the curtain removed to reveal the Ark. Interestingly, the Ark had originally resided in the first temple, but mysteriously vanished and was never present in the second temple constructed around 525 BCE. According to belief, the Ark would reappear in the temple during the time of the Messiah, and this coin symbolized that hope. Surprisingly, the image of the restored Ark in the Holy of Holies can also be found in other places. It serves as a central vision in the Book of Revelation, where the Holy of Holies is opened, the Ark is revealed, and the Messiah is born. This raises an intriguing question. How did St. John, the author of the Book of Revelation, come to know about this vision that later became the motif on the coins from the Second War against Rome? Even the most recent proposed dates for the Book of Revelation precede the minting of the coin. This serves as a compelling example of an image appearing in a source earlier than the artifact itself. It is possible that other symbols in the lead books share a similar pattern. However, nobody can definitively claim that the lead books directly copied the coin designs. Found in the pages of this book is the depiction of the war against Rome. Numerous pages appear to reflect the Second War against Rome. Dr. Zinner, my colleague, has discovered many instances of the name Simon, believed to be referring to Shimon bar Kokhba, the leader of the Second War, and seen as the Messiah by many. Little is known about him, but the lead books cleverly play on his name Shimon and the first word of the Jewish statement of faith, the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Wordplay on names is also evident in the New Testament. John the Baptist's father, who sang of the horn of salvation, incorporated 4 names into his song. The intricate wordplay on names is similar to the play on Shimon and the Shema. This was the world of the Hebrew Christians. The lead books may not have been created by Christians, but they represent something familiar to the early Christians. The name Jesus appears multiple times, but it was a common name, so it may not necessarily refer to Jesus of Nazareth. Similarly, Shimon was a popular name, so the instances of Shimon in the lead books may not necessarily refer to Shimon bar Kokhba. The hope for the redemption of Jerusalem was shared by both Jews and the first followers of Jesus of Nazareth. At this point, it is difficult to determine where, if at all, the boundaries lie. A single page shows a menorah in the center, surrounded by a symmetrical arrangement of letters, and what it contains is beyond interesting. The entire menorah is made up of 70 small circles, including the 7 lamps, which are also depicted as circles. While the menorah was often depicted as being formed from small circles, I have yet to come across one that specifically uses 70 circles. According to Josephus, the menorah in Moses' tabernacle had 70 ornaments, such as globules, lilies, pomegranates, and bowls. It is possible that these 70 circles were the ornaments, but this raises the question, why 70 ornaments? With 7 branches, the menorah having 70 ornaments suggests that there were 10 ornaments per lamp. This connection to biblical symbolism is reminiscent of the dragon snake in the Book of Revelation, which had 7 heads with 10 horns on each. The beast from the sea, who served as the dragon's agent, also had 7 heads with 10 horns on each. The visionary and apocalyptic tradition often revolved around pairs of opposites like this. For example, the harlot in the Book of Revelation and the Qumran texts represented the evil opposite of the holy city of Jerusalem, while Nero was the evil opposite of the Messiah. As they delved deeper, they discovered that a pattern of opposing pairs centered around the menorah holds the key to understanding this page. The dragon snake with its 7 heads and 70 horns stood as the evil opposite of the menorah. The snake led the entire world astray, while the menorah symbolized those who kept the world on the right path. Although we know the visions in Revelation through their Greek translation, they were originally written in Hebrew, and the Old Hebrew wordplay is evident in many places, even if lost in translation. Since horn in Hebrew can also mean beam of light, the dragon's snake and its 70 horns stood in opposition to the 70 lights of the menorah. It doesn't end there. The dragon, along with his angels who comprised 1/3 of the stars, was cast out of heaven. They engaged in a battle against a woman and her children, but Michael and his angels valiantly defended her. It is believed that Michael and his angels were also celestial beings, similar to the heavenly host that fought alongside Deborah in the Book of Judges and the angelic host mentioned in the Qumran War Scroll, who were expected to join the Sons of Light in their enigmatic conflict against the Kittim. The Sons of Light, as described in the War Scroll, were exiled in the wilderness. Another significant aspect to consider when interpreting this menorah page is the recurring motif of time, 2 times and half a time, which equates to 3.5. There are groups of 4 letters that must be read 3.5 times, resulting in a total of 14 letters that convey a hidden message. This enigmatic duration of time is also mentioned in the book of Daniel, where a great angel dressed in white linen instructs Daniel to seal the words and the book for a time, 2 times, and half a time. Daniel 12, 4, 7. In the final prophecy of the book, it is written, "Those who are wise shall shine like the brightness of the firmament, and those who turn many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever." Daniel 12, 3. Only the wise would comprehend the true meaning behind these words. They went further in deciphering the 70 of the menorah. The 70 lights of the menorah, representing the lady's children in the wilderness, play a significant role in the story of Jesus sending out 70 to proclaim the kingdom in the biblical New Testament book of Luke. The number 70 holds great importance as these individuals were granted power over demons, serpents, and scorpions. Upon their return, Jesus acknowledged their success by stating that he witnessed Satan falling from heaven. This connection between the number 70 and the fall of Satan in Revelation portrays Jesus' 70 followers as warriors against the dragon with 70 horns. They possessed the ability to conquer serpents, scorpions, and the power of Satan. While others may have seen themselves as warriors, St. Luke emphasizes that Jesus' followers identified themselves as such. They were the shining lights of the menorah, the children of light, and the light of the world. However, Jesus not only claimed this title for himself, but also bestowed it upon all his disciples. According to Jesus, these lights should not be concealed, but rather placed on the lampstand. Could it be that these lights were previously hidden? Is there a connection to a specific lampstand, considering the same Greek word was used for the menorah? Perhaps the Sons of Light was indeed a part of the menorah light, explaining why the top lamps of our menorah are depicted as circles, similar to the 70 smaller circles forming the rest of the lampstand. The next is the mystery of the sprouting leaves. The menorah depicted is unique due to the presence of 2 leaves sprouting from its base, a feature not found in any other images of a menorah that anyone has come across during my extensive research. In addition to the sprouting leaves, another distinctive aspect of our menorah is the 70 small circles. This uniqueness aligns with the tree symbolism found in Exodus, where almonds and almond flowers are prescribed as decorations for the menorah. The sprouting leaves symbolize new growth, reminiscent of biblical references such as the shoot from the stump of Jesse, the branch growing from his roots, and the seed that remained in the stump of the sacred tree after it was cut down. It is plausible to interpret the sprouting menorah as representing new growth in the royal house of David, signifying the coming of the Messiah. Furthermore, an early vision predating Hezekiah's construction of the tunnel in Jerusalem, as described in the time of Isaiah, portrays new branches growing from a felled tree at the center of the earth in Jerusalem. This ancient hope from the time of Isaiah is reflected in our sprouting menorah, symbolizing the Lady of the First Temple. In Proverbs, the tree of life symbolizes wisdom, another name for the lady who desires to impart her spirit upon her foolish children who have disregarded her teachings and will face consequences as a result. Shocking, right? One of the important aspects to consider when interpreting this page about the menorah is the various interpretations of a single Hebrew root, particularly those roots composed of 3 letters. There are 2 techniques employed. Firstly, the 3 letters are arranged in the shape of a triangle, which can be read in multiple ways depending on the starting point and direction of reading. And secondly, 7 of the symbols represent 2 letters of the Hebrew alphabet. These triangles and other shapes are symmetrically placed on both sides of the menorah. In this particular example, the 3-letter combinations SMH and NSR appear multiple times, along with their different variations resulting from reading the triangles in different ways. While triangles are the most commonly used shape, other polygons like quadrilaterals, pentagons, hexagons, and even heptagons are also utilized. Each shape has a corresponding mirror image on the opposite side of the menorah, creating intricate word pairs that perfectly align with the vocabulary found in Isaiah, Johannine texts, and the early Byzantine hymns dedicated to Mary, such as the Akathist. However, it doesn't end there. The most shocking of all is called the silence. Adam, created in the image of God, remained silent until the Lord granted him the power of speech. This divine gift of speech is a recurring theme in the Bible. David recognized that the Lord spoke through him. Isaiah's mouth was purified by a lump of burning coal. Jeremiah's mouth was touched by the hand of the Lord. Ezekiel consumed a scroll, and St. John consumed a little book. In the apocalyptic discourse, which often features evil counterparts, there was a beast that mirrored Adam. Just as Adam was formed from the earth, this beast emerged from the earth and was bestowed with breath and the ability to speak. The wise high priests, for the most part, silently contemplated the mystery represented by the letters. It is possible that these high priests, the esteemed teachers of the temple, were referred to as the silent ones. When Isaiah stood before the heavenly throne and was called to be a prophet, he exclaimed, "Woe is me! I was silent." This indicated that he had remained silent in the face of false teachings and unclean lips. Confronting this false teaching, Isaiah instructed his disciples to preserve and seal his teachings, awaiting the return of light. The birth of the royal child and the anointing of the new shoot from the tree of Jesse by the Spirit symbolized the returning light. This scene is depicted on the menorah page. This book is still a wonder, though it is not widely accepted. It tells us the basic foundations of Christianity. It reveals to us the connectivity between the ancient Jewish religion and the Christian practice. It is also a wealth of knowledge and provides insight into ancient civilizations and religions. The symbols discovered within these books offer insights into the cultural atmosphere of that era. They unveil the ways in which individuals expressed their spirituality, engaged with sacred places, and communicated their beliefs through visual and written depictions. The wisdom in this book is priceless, and its genuity is matchless.